So us in the UK got The Amazing Spider-Man 2 released about 2 weeks before the US, and on top of that, my cinema put the movie on 2 days in advance. So I just saw the movie yesterday, and I decided to be one of the first to review it. So, let's get into the review. Now, I am not going to talk about the story, as everyone who has seen the trailer already knows exactly what the story is, and pretty much knows everything else about the movie too. Just like the first film, the trailers ruined way too much of the movie, and therefore left very few surprises. I mean, the scene where Spider-Man has to grab Gwen Stacy from falling to her death was so easy to see coming as it was in the trailer. That being said, this movie was still very enjoyable. I did not really like the first one that much at all. It had good aspects, and the girlfriend character was one of the best I had ever seen, but Uncle Ben was a complete idiot who, as far as I'm concerned, killed himself, and his death was very soon forgotten and had next to no impact on any of us. Heck, the weight of his loss doesn't even come through in this movie or make any kind of impact, so it shows how much he meant to our main characters. So let's cover my main complaints of this movie first, and then we'll discuss the good points. So my first complaint is Uncle Ben. I didn't care about him in the first movie, but you would at least expect our main characters to care. I wasn't a big fan of Spider-Man 2, but at least in that movie you felt the emotional weight this continued to have on our main characters. In this, they have a 30-second conversation about him, and then you never hear of it again. The next thing I wasn't really keen on was Harry Osborn, played by Danny DeHaan. When I first heard he would be playing Harry, I was like, what, that crybaby from Chronicle? But once I saw the trailer, I thought I'd get used to him and he would do a pretty good job. Well, him and Peter have pretty good, yet different chemistry when compared to the original movies, but when you first see him, Harry comes off more like a punk from another movie I saw recently, The Raid 2. But when he eventually went evil, I thought he did a very good job as the bad guy, and I really enjoyed his performance, but in my eyes, he is no Harry. Another thing I didn't like was the music. The music in the first movie grows on you and picked the right tone to complement every scene. In this movie, it was just so underwhelming. The music for the villains, like Electro, was fine, and some of the final action sequences had some decent music, but boy was it out of place in some scenes. The first scene where I noticed the music was wrong was when Electro looks at himself for the first time after his transformation. You would expect the music to become tragic at this point, but instead it's playful and upbeat. I mean, what the heck? His transformation was a shock to him, and the music plays this off as playtime. It's supposed to be dramatic and depressing, not fun. And my last major complaint was that both the main villains needed much more screen time. Electro gets his transformation and first encounter with Spider-Man, gets locked up for the majority of the movie, and then he gets released for 5 minutes of bad guy activity, which leads into the final fight between him and Spider-Man, which only lasts for a few minutes.
Boy, you're gonna want to see this. Oscorp, get you under surveillance. Why? Isn't that the question of the day?
The Goblin also did not get too much screen time either. Okay, now that is the majority of my problems with this movie. I have some more, but they start going into spoiler territory, so I won't be covering them here. So let's move on to the good things, and there are many to talk about, as I really did enjoy this movie. The first thing I noticed was the cinematography, specifically when Spider-Man swings around the city. When you first see it, you can tell that's kind of made for 3D, but you adjust to it very quickly, and the way it's shot really gives you a sense of speed. Another thing that was great was that Peter Parker was a lot more chilled in this film. Another problem I had with the first movie is that he seemed to be two completely different people. He was a more serious kid as his secret identity, and he was a jokester who cracks one-liners as Spider-Man. In here, his character is evened out, which made him even more likable this time round. The girlfriend character, Gwen Stacy, was just as good in this as she was the last time, and just like the last time, she helps Spider-Man and even saves him numerous times from his demise. She really is the best girlfriend character in any movie from memory. The action scenes were great, the special effects were great, the villains were awesome, Electro's body movement was very intimidating and really quite creepy, and his presence throughout the movie was downright scary at times. The same goes with the Goblin. His teeth are very sharp, his face is deformed, his body movement is very aggressive and unnerving, and his voice is more rough. Electro's voice was also done really well. The amount of filters and attention to detail they put on it was great. For example, the more quiet he is, the clearer his voice is. The louder he talks, the more his voice distorts.
You lied to me!
No, I'm trying to help!
And with the cinema sound system, you can feel his voice vibrate in your chest. Fans have also been debating if this is the movie where Gwen Stacy dies, because sadly, as we all know, that's what happens to her character in the end. Well, I'm not going to tell you anything, but all I will say is that the movie knows that you're expecting this to happen, so they will try to throw you for a loop or give you hints here and there. Whether they decide to kill her off or keep her for one more movie, I will not say. You will have to find out for yourselves. So overall, this was a great Spider-Man movie. The performances were exceptional, the story was acceptable, and the length was a bit long, but I can't really think of much scenes I would cut, so I can't really complain. I can definitely recommend it. I give The Amazing Spider-Man 2 a 7.6 out of 10. This has earned the spot as my second favourite Spider-Man movie, and it's a close second to my first favourite. Thanks very much for watching this review. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please thumbs up, comment and subscribe, and I'll see all of you next time. Take care.
Bigger than you, Peter.
I made a choice. This is my path.
Some never
Everyone in the city will know how it feels to live in